folks, welcome back here to Tournament Central as we continue to bring you coverage of the 2023 United States Women's Disc Golf Championships. We're live from Burlington, North Carolina, as our FPO competitors have just finished off moving day at the regulator in pursuit of the final major of the season. My name is Dustin Murray. I'll be your host, and joining me once again is going to be Brian Earhart. And Brian, Ollie Williams was not lying when he said it's going to rain today. It did rain today a lot. What was the conditions like out there, man? How did it feel just dealing with that throughout the course of the day?
Beginning of the day felt like it was in the 50s, maybe even the high 40s. Everyone was just freezing cold, layering on the jackets. Kristen Tatar had like 2 or 3 layers on. The wind was up. The rain came down for all 18 holes. It was a pretty crummy day out there. But right now it's maybe low 60s. The wind has started to die a little bit. It's somewhat pleasant, but it's not a surprise that we're still getting rain. It's just one of those days.
Yeah, obviously Tropical Storm Ophelia hitting the East Coast throughout the course of today and into the late night. And, you know, obviously rain was a problem. Footing was an issue. Even just getting to holes, was an issue. We did see, I believe, Kristen slip a couple of times on a couple of forehands on some of her approach shots. And so it's definitely a factor. But luckily, I will say, supposedly the forecast for tomorrow is much better. That's the good news. You know, it's supposed to just be mostly cloudy. Shouldn't be too much rain. Should be better temperatures and wind. And so that's that. Now, let's move on to the most obvious story, Brian. You know, can't really dodge this one for too long. That is the story of what happened between the battle of Henna Blomroos and Kristen Tatar, who for a while there had separated themselves from the pack. And still very much so, you know, Henna is 4 strokes clear of third place. But we obviously had a situation where she was having a back-and-forth battle with Tatar throughout the day. At one point, her lead grew to 3 strokes. At one point, it was down just to 1 stroke. It was very back and forth, but obviously hole 18 changed everything. Her tee shot went basically off the first available, it looked like. Then her second shot from that lie really wasn't that much better. And then we saw a situation where she actually played from the wrong lie, just in the heat of the moment and all the frustration, just did not play from the correct lie. So she was assessed a penalty for essentially a practice throw. And when it all was settled, she wound up taking an 8 on the hole. And that would actually cause her to drop down to 11 under par. And so instead of having the 2-stroke lead she entered today with Brian, she now is sitting 2 strokes behind the lead. Now, I guess the positive spin I'll put on it is that she's still only 2 strokes off the lead with a whole round left to play, and she's 4 strokes clear of third. So it's obviously a tough situation. I can only imagine how frustrating it must be. Just, man, what's your take as a player who maybe has dealt with this before or just witnessing it there today on the course?
Well, Dustin, I have done it one time. It was off camera, and it was humiliating. And clearly, I still remember it. I mean, the difference is she just did this on the major stage, on camera, in front of thousands of people. I can't imagine how she must have felt in that moment. It's a pretty foolish feeling. You're already throwing 4 from your lie, and then that happens. And, you know, you have a 2-stroke cushion going into that final hole. It looks like everything's going your way. 2-stroke cushion on this course is 2 bad luck tree kicks that you have in your back pocket. So it's probably just a terrible feeling all around, and I feel for her. It looked like Kristen was feeling for her too, and yeah, both of them kind of jetted out of here after this round. I think everybody was ready to get home and get dry going into the final day.
It's so tough because, I mean, Henna on day 1 of the tournament was 8 down through 17 and then had the struggles on hole 18, which took her down to 6 under par, but still gave her a share of the lead. And today, she was basically on that same pace. She had a clean card despite all the terrible conditions. I don't want people to forget how well Henna played up until hole 18. She was doing so well throughout the day. Again, she was fending off Tatar multiple times, you know, really was able to maintain that 2-stroke lead heading into the final hole, but unfortunately, disaster struck in multiple different ways throughout the course of that hole. And all we can do now is just hope that she can kind of put that aside, show up tomorrow, realize, hey, I have a full 18 holes ahead of me. I'm only 2 off the lead. And the way that she's been playing overall has been good, Brian. I mean, the one thing that I want to really point out, again, just to kind of add a positive spin to all this, is her putting has been fantastic throughout this tournament so far. I mean, she's putting north of 70% from C1X, which is something she struggled with in the past. So, I mean, I guess to you, Brian, like, what do you think has to happen for her reset-wise to be able to come into tomorrow and kind of put this behind her?
Well, to make a joke, but also a joke that's kind of true. From something that she said in her interview yesterday, I asked her what she was going to do in the evening, and she just said, eat well and sleep good. And I think that's all she needs to do tonight. Just go eat some good food, get a good night's rest, go to bed early, just get this day over with. I mean, it's a terrible finish, and not just as a spectator, but her. It probably feels terrible to have that happen to you after you're building up so much momentum and fending off Kristen Tatar with fantastic play. She just needs to get the day over with, wake up fresh, and realize, yeah, she now gets to chase down the leader, although Kristen does like to be in the lead going into the final day, so we'll just have to see how that shakes out.
That's a really big point, right? I mean, usually Tatar in these majors, when she wins, she's able to set the pace early and kind of just maintain that presence throughout the course of the tournament. In this situation, she found herself playing behind for 2 full rounds and essentially almost the entirety of this third round up until hole 18. Now, obviously, she's the clear #1 player in the world. She's won all the majors this year. We know that what a victory this weekend would mean for her. It's a chance to, get the Grand Slam, a chance to clean sweep the majors for the season, which no FPO player has ever done before since we've moved to 4 majors. Today, for her part, again, had that back and forth battle with Blomroos throughout the day. She had a couple of situations where she was able to pull things within 1 stroke. This hole right here that you're seeing on your screen, hole 3, is kind of how it started, where she was able to get really nice shot off the tee and grab the birdie. But there were also a couple of situations where she had a couple of missed putts that could have got her the lead. But she was all a little bit short and had to kind of battle with that. But hole 18, she took advantage. She had a beautiful tee shot. She was actually acting before Henna, got through the shot, put the pressure on Henna, and then she winds up with a par. And that's going to give her the 2-stroke lead, Brian. So just kind of tell me what you saw from Tatar today, and maybe putting the Henna stuff aside, and just kind of what you saw from Kristen throughout our moving day.
Yeah, first off, we'll put everything with Henna to rest. She threw the disc phenomenally well today. They were both 6 under par going into 18, which ties the hot round of the weekend in 18 straight holes of rain. So that we're going to put to bed. Now, for Kristen, she had mentioned previously that she doesn't like the way that she's throwing the disc. She cleaned up tremendously. The tee shot that she threw on 3 finally hit the right angle, finally got the distance left, put her in a fantastic spot. Easy chip up and down for the birdie. She's cleaning up the holes that she struggled on in the front 9 early. So now Kristen can come into some good weather and actually play this course. I am so excited to see this course here at the Regulator get played in good conditions by the entire field and see who can shoot that 7, 8, 9 under par mark that I know everybody's capable of. Kristen, now in the driver's seat, gets to not even just press. She can keep with her game plan that she practiced throughout the week. So it's going to be a really entertaining day.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best front 9 that she's had the whole tournament, right? I mean, each other time I think she was either a stroke over par or maybe at even par through the front 9. Today she was 3 under through the front 9 and then was able to kind of maintain a nice pace throughout the back half of the course. So definitely cool to see Tatar, make some adjustments and play some great golf. And again, it kind of has become a 2-horse race with Tatar and Blomroos out in front by several strokes clear of third. But speaking of third, let's talk about Ohn Scoggins a little bit. Obviously, she is ranked 2nd in the world right now. She's gotten her first couple of wins of her Pro Tour career this year at the Mid-America Open, then her first elite win at D-Glow. Obviously, injury struck her at World. She had to pull out. She bounced back, though, came 2nd at MVP Open last week. And she also bounced back in the midst of this tournament, Brian. I mean, she was out of the conversation after round 1, but made a quiet comeback the second day. And today she shot 3 under par to take solo third, and we were actually able to catch up with her after the round.
Ohn Scoggins, a 3 under par effort today puts you in the running for the lead card tomorrow. Walking over here, you described today as a day of survival. What did you mean by that?
The weather was terrible, sleepily. The hand is so sticky. When you release this, it was harder. The putting was so sticky, just like all over the place. It just pretty much like, it's not just only you need to focus on the game, but you need to focus on every walk you have to walk, so it's take away of your focus.
You're usually all smiles when you're playing, very level-headed. You admitted today that frustration got the better of you a couple of times. Talk about what was so frustrating.
Because I know it's a very important day today. I try so hard to move up, and it's frustrating to play in the rain already and then muddy, but I feel like when I have a good drive, and then all I have to do is just pitch up and get birdie or just pitch up for par. I just could not do that. I just hit the tree and that was very frustrating. And normally I'm very chill, but today it's got me 2 times like that.
Right now you're sitting in third place at the moment. We'll see how scores finish up for the rest of the players. That said, you've got a little bit of a gap between you and those in front of you. Do you have a sense of how low you'll have to go tomorrow to be in contention?
Man, I feel like tomorrow, if I want to have a chance to win, I need to, I don't know, 8, 9 down. That's so hard. That I don't know, but I will try my best. But I'm pretty sure, whoever win, they work hard on it, they deserve it. And for me, I just try to be top 6, if I can, because first place is kind of like pretty much like almost like out of my hand. But hey, I'll give it a try. Like I said, 8, 9 down tomorrow if I want to win. So.
Well, no matter how things shake out, it's a pretty sure bet that we will see Owen Scoggins on coverage tomorrow. So best of luck.
Thank you.
Those were some words from Owen Scoggins, who, despite the frustrations and despite the conditions, Brian, she actually shot her best round of the tournament so far. 3 under par was the second best round of the day, just behind Tatar, who, of course, shot the 6 under par, which is the hot round of the tournament thus far. Tell me your thoughts on Owen, as she sits on the podium. Yeah, it does seem like the lead is probably a little bit out of reach, being 6 strokes back, but she's only just a few strokes behind Henna in second place, and potentially could make some moves tomorrow in better conditions. So kind of what's your thoughts on Owen as we head into our final day?
I mean, I'm only going to talk about the injury one time, but she almost wins Maple Hill with the injury.
Right.
She's in contention to potentially win a major title here with the injury. I really want to see Owen recover and play like she did at D-Glow, because the moment she comes back to 100%, Kristen's going to have a run for her money every single weekend. We're getting close to the end of the year. 2024 already is popping up in my head. We're going to have so many people gunning for these victories. But finishing out this tournament, I think Owen can just show up and have a good time. 8, 9 under par is totally in the cards for her, especially in good conditions. She just got to keep the putter hot. I think it's going to shape up pretty well for her.
And so let's talk about our final member that will be on the lead card for our final round. That is going to be our reigning USWDGC champion. That's going to be Haley King, currently ranked 3rd in the world. Obviously had some wins this season at DDO and recently at the MVP Open. Has that complete game to rival the best in the sport. Was in a 3-way tie for the lead after the first round. Yesterday, struggled, wound up falling out of the top 5, but today she shot 2 under par to jump back into solo 4th, and it's just 1 stroke off the podium. We got to catch up with Haley King after the round.
With Haley King after a 2 under par effort in terrible conditions today on the regulator, I want to ask you how you reset and reframe your expectations when the conditions make scores today, good scores that perhaps yesterday wouldn't have been good scores.
Well, I know that the rain always makes people play worse. I mean, there's the 1% that play better, but I knew there was going to be a lot of bad scores out there, so I just wanted to limit the bogeys and just take all pars.
You're the first that I've gotten a chance to speak to today. In your own words, how would you describe how the course is handling this large volume of rain? Is it draining as well as can be expected and doing okay out there?
It's pretty good in most areas. Of course, on some tee pads, it's a little harsh because it's uphill and feels pretty muddy, but it's majority of the places it's pretty good.
Did you find any challenges hanging onto discs? It's also chillier than I think people watching might realize with the winds blowing as they are. Any trouble that you had given that you've been playing in the summer for the last few months and now all of a sudden dealing with cold conditions?
Honestly, I felt like I did pretty good today. I tried to warm up a little bit earlier, getting the disc wet, getting my hands wet before I even played, so that way I would be accustomed to it already. So I felt like I did better than I really expected to. Yeah.
Any ideas what you feel like you need to do tomorrow to try to achieve a goal, a top 3, a podium, anything like that?
Honestly, at this point, I just want to finish up without getting more hurt.
Okay. Well, best of luck and keeping safe with the end of the season looming. Thanks, Haley King.
Thank you.
So I guess some modest expectations there from Haley King to try to wrap up her time at the U.S. Women's Championships. Again, she's only 1 stroke off the podium, Brian. She made a 4-stroke improvement from her round yesterday and has put herself back in the mix a little bit despite the conditions that they face today. So maybe just kind of give me your take on what you expect to see from Haley King tomorrow, where we should have a better forecast and she has a chance to play her best game.
She is. She's very good at clubbing up to something a little flippier, throwing a little bit of hyzer flip, and hopefully maneuvering these fairways well. It's going to be tough to take down the victory from her spot, but I think she can at least bump up into the podium, maybe even take a second place finish depending on how Hannah handles what happened at 18 today. With that said, we have to reflect on how long this season has been. I talked to Seth Munsey, who obviously does a lot of the warm-ups with the players, the cool-downs, and he says there's an alarming number of players this year that he feels like are holding themselves together with duct tape. And it's obvious, and I don't know if we can attribute it to anything other than the fact that the seasons are long. And at this point, players are probably going to have to start adjusting their schedules. We have so many talented players that are starting to be able to afford to play less tournaments and not have to play 30 to 40 tournaments a year. And I have a feeling after the season's over, we're going to see more players doing that. Haley did do that this year and is still injured. So we'll see how she shapes up today, or tomorrow, and we'll see. We have one more tournament left for this FPO division.
I hear you there, Brian. Great insights. We're going to have more of them for you, as well as some more highlights to roll after a short break. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
Get ready for an electrifying fusion of disc golf and art. Disc Golf Strokes, a Uplay fundraiser that will creatively blow your mind, featuring some of the biggest names in professional disc golf. Each 6-foot canvas is up for auction along with the artist's smocks, disc brushes, and other exclusive disc golf items. Every dollar helps fund Uplay's educational events, and we're currently raising money for our trip to Uganda and Kenya, Africa this October. Disc Golf Strokes, where the thrill of the game meets the power of art to benefit the world.
What makes the Halal Guys so deliciously different? You might have heard of our famously long cart lines that NYC fans happily stand in. Today, with over 100 plus restaurants across the globe, we are your place to experience authentic American halal. Enjoy our delicious falafel, Euro sandwich, platters, and sides topped with our famously flavorful white and hot sauces. Order online today and taste how we make different so delicious. The Halal Guys, bringing something deliciously different to the table.
PDG Event Support Helpline.
Hey, I was wondering if I could add some rules to my tournament to make it a little unique.
Sure. You just need a waiver from the Director of Event Support.
Okay, great. An island green?
Shouldn't be a problem.
And elevated baskets?
Yeah, we get those all the time.
Oh, and forehands only?
Sarah, we've been over this.
Sorry. I mean, but I don't see why we can't try it. I mean, everyone loves forehands. Like, you can go right, you can go left, you can throw straight, you can throw high, you can throw low.
While I do have a lot of different versions of the Thrasher in my bag, the main go-tos are those Thrashers that I got when I first joined the team. And that just tells you how consistent those stock runs are.
And remember, folks, you can watch the rest of our USW DGC coverage and more upcoming Pro Tour events live on the Disc Golf Network. So use the code USWDGCTC as it appears on your screen at checkout for 20% off your first month. You can scan the QR code on your screen, or if you want to, you can hit the link in the description below. And also subscribe here to the YouTube channel to catch more coverage here as well. Now, with that said, Brian, let's move on. So we got a couple of Chase Card members to discuss here. And the first we're going to talk about is Evelina Salonen. Of course, she shot 2 under par during the first round, putting her 4 strokes off the lead and very much in the mix. Yesterday, she would shoot 3 under par to go 5 under overall, which put her on the lead card for today. And today had a little bit of struggles, wound up shooting 1 over par for the round. That's going to drop her into a tie for 6th, but she's still only 3 strokes off the podium, and she's obviously a player who's consistently been able to finish in or near the top 5 when she has competed on the Pro Tour this season. She's ranked 7th in the world, and she is a player that I feel like at the Worlds and the MVP Open saw an uptick in putting, and in this tournament, it's been a little bit of a back and forth affair. It's been a little bit touch and go. So kind of what's your take on Salonen heading into the final round as she tries to battle for a spot on that podium?
I think it's a touch and go. I think the touch and go with the putting is okay. I think the fact that she had 2 good tournaments in a row with solid putting stroke, and this week being a little patchy, that's understandable. I think little steps. When you have the struggles like she had in the past, it's something to celebrate to have 2.5 tournaments in a row with decent putting numbers, and I think that's the reason why she's close to the top. I mean, earlier in the season, we weren't even seeing her close to the lead. We were seeing her on, fourth, fifth, sixth cards because she simply made 0 putts. So this is a big improvement for her. It seems like she's enjoying the game more than she ever has. And I'm just looking forward to her tomorrow having a good time, playing some good golf, put up a good number, and build some momentum for the Throw Pink Championship.
A very valid point there. As we'll kind of talk about one of our last members of the Chase Guard today, and it's going to be Sarah Holcomb. Came into this tournament ranked 18th in our world rankings, is a player who has had some big finishes at majors, including a top 5 at the European Open. She's also recently played pretty well, 6th at Idlewild, 8th at D-Glow. She was sitting at 4 under par after 2 rounds and a tie for 6, 5 strokes off the lead. Today, she shoots a 1 under par to take solo 5th. It puts her at 2 strokes off the podium. I know that you've kind of discussed Holcomb's game and how it suits this course when we've discussed her in the past. I just kind of want to get your take on her performance today and, what she can do tomorrow to try to get herself on that podium.
Well, hey, being a sidearm dominant player in the rain is terrible. You have 1 point of contact on the disc, which is your middle finger for the most part, and that's it. Slippage happens way more with the forehand than it does for the backhand. And the fact is, she scored very solid. She had a tough start, but she got a solid 3 on number 10, obviously with that forehand on the second shot. I just got to give her kudos for being able to battle through these conditions, and clearly she knows how to play forehand only in bad weather, but still blows me away every time. I mean, being a player that played very forehand dominant myself for a while, it's just difficult. There's no way around it. You have to be very focused on your grip, very focused that it's not too sticky like Owen was saying earlier. And tomorrow, good conditions. She's going to get to play the course however she wants and could put up a good number and break into that podium.
Indeed. Well, Brian, we appreciate you so much for your insights today, and we're about to bid you adieu. We're about to bid everyone adieu, actually, for moving day today, but we'll be back tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time yet again to bring you some more Tournament Central coverage before we kick off our final round. But before we do, we'd like to leave you with an interview from Christy Unt, who is a player who's had some top 5 finishes on the Euro Tour and the European Pro Tour, but this is her first major, and right now she finds herself in a tie for 6 and is shooting even par and shooting 4 under across the first 2 rounds. So we'll leave you with words from Christy Unt as we sign off for the day.
With Christy Unt now a even par effort and a top 10 position right now going into the final round. You were saying just a moment ago you came over to the United States just for this event, yes?
Yep, that's true.
What is it like looking at a leaderboard right now and seeing, for example, at this moment, 5 European players in the top 10, 7 European players in the top 13? Is there a sense of pride being part of the European group coming over and making noise in this U.S. championship?
Yeah, obviously. It makes my heart, warm.
For those that may not be as familiar with you, can you tell me a little bit about the way you like to approach playing a course like the Regulator through the woods? Are you spinning the disc both ways, forehand and backhand? Are you trying to be very precise or very powerful? What does your game look like?
I play both, forehand and backhands, especially on the first side of the first part of the course. I don't know. I just play. It depends on the place where I am, and I don't mind using whether it's a forehand or a backhand. I feel comfortable with both.
Well, as you said, you came to the United States just for this event. Do you have plans in the future to venture over for Disc Golf Pro Tour events and majors?
No, not at the moment.
Well, we hope you do, because we've enjoyed getting to watch you this week on the network. Congratulations on what looks like is going to be a great weekend for you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.